If the first item on the agenda is approval of minutes.
Recording
I was
in
only here for
progress.
one of those three.
Okay, so you didn't watch the other ones then, did you?
Not the July, the
I
August. right?
wasn't a
Yeah.
member yet.
Well, could you gone back to watch the video for them, so you could, if you watch the video of the meeting, then you can vote on the minutes for it.
So you were here in September, you were here
even though I
September
wasn't-
10th, but you weren't here July or August, right?
Correct.
And so what they did is they went back and watched the meetings.
You watch the meeting, so you get to vote on them.
Because the
Even
people
if
who
I
were
was
actually,
not a sworn in.
because the
It
people who
happened
were
to Casey.
physically in this meeting they're gone. The
Right.
three,
Yeah.
Right. that
they're out of
makes
here.
sense.
The same thing happened to Casey as well. All right, so yeah, ready? Okay, well, that's good. We like to talk a lot up here, at least half the time. All right, welcome everybody to the Wellfleet Board of Health meeting for October 8th. Anybody wants to join the meeting online, please raise your hand. We do not have a sign-in sheet, so we're going to bypass that at this moment. So
I can put down something. Sign in.
we got three people.
Yeah, I know. I think Jen likes a sign-in sheet.
All right, give us a second. All right, well, the first thing we're going to go over, we're going to go to the approval of the minutes. That is the July 9th. Casey, you watched these minutes, right? You can vote on these, correct?
I've watched some of them. I'm
So
trying to think
actually,
what
I
date.
did watch August 13th. I went back and I did
You
watch
watched the
that.
13th, so we'll go
In
July 9th.
I think July is a problem.
Okay, we're going to,
So I was here for the August 13th, so it was the July 9th that I did watch.
Oh, okay.
yes.
So
you
we have
did
enough.
watch it?
We have enough.
Okay.
I watched it before our last meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I watched it as well. I was absent, but I did watch the video. All right, so
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from July 9.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I can say aye?
Yeah, you
Aye.
watched it, yeah, so you can say aye.
I didn't watch.
Oh, you didn't watch this? Okay, that's right. You're going to abstain from this one.
I
Okay,
will
but
abstain.
that one's approved.
Okay.
301. All right, August 13th. Could I ask for a motion?
Was I there? Yeah. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from August 13th.
Could I have a,
Second.
do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 4-0. September 10th, could I ask for a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the September 10th meeting.
Could I have a second?
I can second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're abstaining, so that's 301. Okay, there are the minutes. Good job. All right, I don't know if we want to jump to old business for the regulations now, or you want to get the hearings out of the way? What do you think about that?
Let's get the hearings out of the way,
Let's get the hearings out of the way.
just for you.
All right, we're going to go first. Well, why don't we go to Gary Dion? He's going to move he's postponed his to November meeting. Keith and Catherine Michon, 50 Eastwood Circle, yes. You're up.
Keith Martinez, not Heath.
I submitted the letter a few weeks back. I don't know whether you want to ask questions. You want me to give you a summary again of what I'm trying to do?
Yeah, why don't you sit down, please, and identify yourself, please.
Keith Michon, 50 Eastwind Circle in Wellfleet. The house was built in 2015. We have done some additional work to it. My wife wants to remodel the kitchen. It's pretty small, and we were hoping to push out that one single wall out the back, which goes onto a 26 by 30 deck adjacent to a 17 by 23 three-season porch, go out 4 feet, do a shed roof that would allow us to essentially put a center island just like this, because there's an L shape, which is very difficult to navigate, and, we could do it however the building department wants us to do it. In the letter, it said 3.5 feet. I've since had a builder that my wife has represented in the past saying that to line it up with there's 20 screens and storms that go in there around the porch room. He goes, if you go to 4 feet, it'd be a perfect mesh to eliminate one of those essentially full-size door screens. So if it could be 4 feet, that would be optimal, but it's 15 feet wide, so if you round that up, you're talking 60 square feet onto a pretty large deck, two-level deck. It would just be great if we could do that without having to trigger the septic upgrade, because the house is 10 years old, and I know that doesn't apply, but it is living space, and we're hoping that something this small could respectfully be given a waiver to having to upgrade the system.
Okay, right now, we're working on changing the regulations.
Right.
Okay. We could, more than likely, this is falling under the old guidelines for the Board of Health. We wouldn't be able to do much of anything. As far as I'm concerned, does anybody else have a comment upon this?
I just propose that you wait until the regs, there'll be a hearing next week. I don't know when they'll become effective, probably pretty quickly after that. I would wait if I were you, and then we don't have to get into yes or no, because the triggers right now,
Well,
usable space, yada, yada.
So how would that work procedurally? Would it have to come back here?
Yes.
Or?
Yeah, you'd have to continue this to next meeting. You wouldn't have to show up. I would not, you could just apply something this simple.
If there's no variances after the regulations change, then you wouldn't, so the new proposed regulations go back to the previous, at least this was proposed until it's voted on, it's not set in stone, but it proposes to go back to the state definition of new construction, which would not apply in this case, and so then you wouldn't be triggered for an upgrade.
So you're good with the Title V?
You'd be able to stay without a separate upgrade.
If the existing regs are approved.
Right, so one option is, Ken, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, but that's it. But the whole thing is like, if you just withdraw this, pretty much if you withdraw this and the regulations get changed next week, you wouldn't even have to come to the Board of Health because the building department could take care of it, because we wouldn't become involved with it at all. If that's what I'm.
Seems simple enough. The builder had said, just to get a letter okaying it, but if you think this sounds like a better way to
I
go.
don't think we have any jurisdiction once we get to the next spot.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike, I'm sorry, could you, if that
Well,
pretty
the
much?
one thing we could do is enter into an administrative consent order, but that's just a whole process that, it would potentially give you the opportunity to start immediately, but
Construction, it would start immediately, but just the whole design is on hold to try and, because that 3.5 to 4 feet, it's a huge difference in terms of layout. So, but it sounds like it's
So
most
what I would
prudent to let it go.
suggest-
But could I ask, just informally, what's the chances of being surprised that it's not approved? Sounds pretty.
It
A lot
more,
of
we
people
can't
will
say,
support the
yeah,
new
we
rate.
can't say, yeah, it's golden 100%, everything's going to change. But it's leaning that way heavily. I will say heavily that way.
Okay.
So if I don't know if you need to withdraw this, and basically, like I said, after next week's meeting, if we go back to the old regs, you won't even have to come to us.
But I would
It'll
just
go right to the board.
resubmit my request.
No,
Oh, no,
you don't
I would
have
just
to
work
come
with the
here.
building department.
You'd have to go to the building department.
But
That's it.
I would just have to, maybe online, I would see that it has been approved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
There'll be an announcement,
Then,
Yeah,
if
then
I
Mike.
could consent to withdraw it, I would do that then.
before you do that, I would say that just in case, as a fallback, so you don't have to reapply, that we could continue the hearing to the next meeting.
Okay.
And that way, if they don't fall, you're not stuck in a reapplication. So if any changes are made to the regulations, Until we've discussed it and had a public hearing,
Okay.
it's hard to know, so I would just request to continue it that way, just to be safe.
The date that I'm wondering about doing a continuance, so we're going to probably have our meeting before any variances come up. So
He doesn't have any.
you would probably have to go back to November, I would think.
Yeah, just the next meeting.
Just go to the November.
Just look online.
Continuances to the November meeting.
Cancel After,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
turn
after.
up if it's all
yeah.
good.
So I could file that online? Or,
You don't even have to do that, we could do that here right
okay,
now. We
great.
can
What
just
date would
move to
that, what date
continue
would
the-
that be?
Yeah,
Would you like to continue?
you want to continue, when would be the second
I
Tuesday?
think it's the
What?
12th.
Oh, my birthday, great.
Well, could be
Hopefully
happy
you don't
birthday
have
too.
to
A present.
show up.
I hear you saying. And when you say variance, I mean variance in the regulations, not opposed to variance in the property itself, right?
No, a variance is a variance from the regulations,
Right,
but
right.
there's very specific guidelines into what you can get.
And
as a
it is the
variance.
12th.
Okay,
Could be a good birthday for you,
So
maybe.
same thing here at 5:30, and it's a continuation, and great,
If the regs change, you won't have to come.
great.
Yeah, you can just call and just cancel it, so withdraw it, whatever at that time, as long as the meeting goes the way that you want to next week.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your time.
Okay, so do we move to continue the public hearing?
Yes, I
Yes.
second that.
To November, what is the date?
12.
Wait, it's the 12th.
12.
Yes, I second that.
Okay,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
aye.
Aye.
5-0. Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so Robert Johnson and Catherine
Alford.
I can't read tonight. Sorry about that.
Oh, I recognize this woman, Stephanie.
Yeah, Mike, we're just doing these to get these out of the way, then
Yeah,
we
that's
discuss.
fine. I was trying to print this stuff and my printer jammed.
Hi, good evening. I'm Stephanie Sequin with Roder and Wilcox, representing Bob Johnson and Catherine Alford. They are the owners of the property at 156 Pleasant Point Road, and we are requesting variances to allow the upgrade of the existing septic system in order to provide enhanced IA. It's a little over 13,000 square foot lot. There's a coastal bank on Blackfish Creek. The entire property is within the 100-foot buffer to the top of the coastal bank. There's an existing three-bedroom, I'll call it the main house. According to assessor's records, it was built in 1910, and there's also a separate detached cottage with one bedroom. The cottage was rebuilt in 2018. The existing Title V system was installed in 1997 and consists of a 1,500-gallon septic tank, distribution box, and soil absorption system with approved capacity of 462 gallons per day. There were variances granted at the time for the installation of that system because of the lack of separation from the coastal bank, things like that. It is the property, both buildings are connected to the Pleasant Point water supply, so they do not have a well on this property. They are proposing some additions and renovations to the existing main house. There's a proposed addition on the north side of the building. There's also currently a screen porch on the south side of the building that they're going to expand the living space into that existing screen porch. So they are, and that's going to be an expanded dining room area. So the three-bedroom house will remain 3 bedrooms, but there is an addition of habitable space, and per the current, your current definition of new construction, this meets that definition, and therefore they were ordered, I guess, requested to upgrade the system to include enhanced IA component. So what's being proposed is to, because of the very, very limited space on this lot between the two buildings and retaining walls and driveway, there's very, very little room to work with. So we're proposing to remove the existing 1,500-gallon septic tank and replace it with a two-compartment 1,500-gallon septic tank. So that will satisfy the requirements for multiple dwellings on one lot to have a two-compartment tank. From there, it will go into a new nitro wastewater treatment system, which is a DEP-approved IA technology. And then from the nitro, it will flow into the existing distribution box and soil absorption system. Because of the lack of separation or distance from the top of the coastal bank, there are several variances that we're requesting. The proposed septic tank is 62 feet from the top of the coastal bank, where you currently require a 100-foot setback, so we're requesting a 38-foot variance. The proposed nitro tank is 69 feet from the top of the coastal bank, so we're requesting a 31-foot variance for that. And we are increasing the footprint of the building, and Title V requires a reserve area to be shown in that situation, and we have no space for a reserve area, so we're also requesting a variance from the Title V requirement to show a reserve area. If the existing soil absorption system fails, it would be replaced in the same location, more than likely, rather than in a reserve area. So those are the variances that we're requesting. And I guess we'll have the discussion whether, and I'm still, I was only recently aware of the proposed changes to the regulations and the potential for an administrative consent order. So I'm not, they are under construction already. We decided to go forward with this request for variances, even though there's the very likely possibility that in a few weeks, the variances won't be necessary, and the requirement to provide the IA may not be necessary, but we're trying to, they can't continue with the expansion portion of the construction until we get this approval or the regulations change. So just in an effort to keep the construction process and the permitting process going, that's why we decided to come here tonight, hopefully get the approvals, and then move on. If it turns out we can come back in 2 weeks or, 2 months or whatever, and if these variances are no longer necessary, then great. But in the meantime, we are asking for approval.
All right, does anybody have any questions or concerns?
So I do have one, and that is something that came up last time, and it's come up when I've talked to some other engineers with the provisional certification. So normally on an IA system or any other variance that would require a reserve area, any general approval, we could make Title V variances. But my understanding of the provisional approvals is that, and I'm just trying to find the language in here on the conditions, but that they must be in compliance with Title V without any variance. Let me just try and find.
Well, I have a question. If Stephanie comes back, let's say you postpone for whatever reason, and you come back in 3 or 4 weeks and we've promulgated a regulation and we don't need you to have an IA system, does she still have to ask for she does?
There's still, no, because she would be under new construction. It would be under new construction. The definition will go back to state Title V
Additional.
definition, which would not, it would be the increase in design flow that would
Right.
affect any kind of trigger, not the, not,
The blueprint of the house.
yeah, not the footprint of the home. So the habitable space would no longer be a trigger, so you would not be required to do any septic upgrade
Right.
at that point, or enter an ACO or anything, because the new construction would go back to the original definition of new construction under state Title V.
Are you trying to just catch like a week or two to keep going on the construction?
I guess just because
You never know.
you never know. I know your hearing is scheduled. Will a vote be taken? Anyway, it's just so that we don't lose
Months.
2 more weeks or, even more than that.
You're in the middle. You know what I mean? You can go either way. More than likely, there will be a vote next week. There will be a vote next week.
Were you able to find?
Well, I think there will be.
Were you able to find whatever you were looking for?
Well, I guess it's just the.
I mean, I don't have a problem with
enhance.
approving this.
The only problem that I have, and this really should be determined, is just these provisional systems. I don't think there is an allowance for us to give variances on a provisional system outside of local variances.
So we could approve the second 2 variances, but not the first, where the reserve area?
Which means basically you can only install a provisional system if it can meet all of the Title V requirements. And if it can't, then it has to just be an IA system. And we can't, that's why you see Jason come in and say, we can't fit this because it's not compliant with Title V. And so,
So then they would be subject to a new system and these variances.
right, I mean, the problem is somebody spent money designing this, and to change the design costs money too. It's just, and it's different, it's just different with provisional systems than generally approved IA.
So is there a generally approved IA that could be?
But we can't
That would be a
approve
different
that.
variance. We'd have to
Yes, yes.
change, it would have to be changed
So you could,
anyway.
you could say, okay, I'll put an Advantech in, but that's a different regulations, and that wouldn't fall into what we have at this moment.
Well,
in
it
this
does
town.
because you have to allow for something to go in.
Yeah.
So,
So what's the date of your hearing?
The fourth-
We have to go to the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
That's scheduled for November 5th.
Well, we're meeting the 14th,
Next Tuesday.
next Tuesday.
But we don't have a Board of Health meeting until the 12th.
Of November.
So if I continued this, it would be to November 12th, which would be the week after the Conservation Commission, right?
But it sounds like there's still going to, if we go ahead and go back and have, the Title V and the 100 feet and yada, yada, you still may run into some issues.
except they won't trigger it.
They won't
Yeah.
trigger
Oh, that's
it.
true.
You may fall into the same one as that last gentleman, because if we go back to the old regulations,
Involved.
we wouldn't become involved, it would just be the building department.
And the conservation.
And
And
conservation.
CONSCOM, yes.
Okay.
I can
But you would
Take one actor out of your process by doing that.
Potentially, no, we can't promise
Potentially.
that, but.
So the thing is, though, they're going to have to do something sometime,
Well-
shortly. And
When you say
They're-
do something, what do you mean?
Are they going to be selling?
no, but just
No.
under the state requirement.
So I was just looking at a sewer map. It is potential, there's potential that it could wind up getting sewered on around Pleasant Point. I mean,
Really?
it's not fully set in stone, but the sewer maps that are drawn show different areas around Payne Hollow and Indian Neck and Drummer Cove. So it's unknown where that would fall. But again, if the regulations are changed, the habitable space will not trigger an upgrade. So it would be whenever it's determined like what's going to happen in that area.
Right.
Which I don't think the town's fully decided yet.
Is that the B plan?
No, there's just the select board, before I left the select board, we had commissioned for a full sewer layout for the entire town and a cost estimate of that. And that will include it's a substantially larger footprint than the initial downtown sewer district out to Cove Road. And then it's not much bigger than the contingency plan, but it does touch on Payne Hollow Road and potentially Pleasant Point and all the way around to Drummer Cove. So it's unknown what will happen
Okay.
there. And so that's part of the reason why the changes are being proposed, is just to ensure that we don't wind up putting these in everywhere where there's going to be sewering.
Right, okay, so what I was going to say is this site is currently, it's like a bomb hit.
mess.
You know, because it's under construction, obviously. And so they were, and I can't tell, I think Catherine might be on, listening remotely, but, so they were debating when, we realized that this potentially may not be necessary now, but we thought it will be necessary. I had no idea that this was potentially going to be sewered. So
I can't say that for sure, I mean, but it looked like the sewer map was around that area. They're just draft documents at this
Yeah.
point, they haven't been approved by anyone, so.
So they were, trying to decide, is it worth, since everything is dug up now, does it make sense to put something in the ground now, rather than putting it back together 3 years from now, digging it up again and having to re-landscape? So,
It won't be 3 years.
so I think, since your next meeting is only a week after our Conservation Commission meeting, that it may make sense to continue till then. It is not going to make that big of a difference in the schedule, but I do, can we ask if Catherine is online? I just want to make sure she doesn't have any questions.
Is Catherine online? You raise your hand. I don't know, we don't see a Catherine online.
Okay.
It might be one of the phone numbers.
Yeah, I don't recognize the phone number.
Yeah, if it's Catherine online, could you raise your hand? Oh, there's somebody with a hand raised.
There you go.
iPhone 29.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Hi,
She
Catherine.
can, but she's still
Is
muted.
muted.
You're muted. Yeah,
Do we have to do something? Does Jen normally do?
no.
I think we lost her.
While we're waiting, I just want to read off here from the provisional use certification for nitro. And it just says, the system may only be installed to serve facilities where a fully conforming Title V system with a reserve area exists on site or could be built on site in compliance with the design standards for new construction of 310 CMR 15, and for which a site evaluation in compliance with 310 CMR 15 has been approved by the approving authority. A fully conforming Title V system may include other approved technology, alternative technologies in accordance with the conditions imposed on the alternative technologies. Basically, I think it can only be, I don't think we can give any variances that are Title V variances for a nitro system.
Before you joined the board, we ran into that problem as certain systems that were brought before us, where they had to just go with like the Advantech, or they couldn't put in the enhanced one because they did not have a reserve area.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
That's
they
what-
couldn't meet the setbacks.
Right,
It has to be fully
right.
compliant with Title V for the provisional systems. That may change. So if this goes away, then that plan,
So what would we do under the current regulations here?
You'd have to get a variance for an Advantech system or
Okay.
something like that, or STAR system, or
Yeah, okay.
or one of the general approved systems that allow for the Title V variances.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
Good to
my
know.
understanding of it. And I can send you also the certification, because I feel like people are running into this where because they're being sort of asked to be used in general use, but the state does not use them in general use. And it's pretty explicit, the state is like,
we do have a Catherine with her hand up now. Catherine, you're muted.
Do we have to unmute her?
I think so.
All I can do is ask to unmute, they have to press.
They have to do it
You have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we have
Can
you
you hear
now.
me now?
yep.
Yeah, I am here, so everything that, I'm trying to understand everything that was just said. So we can't get a variance on the property because of its, I'm not sure where we're.
You can't get a variance on the provisionally approved systems. So your request for the first request for a variance was for the reserve area. So we can't actually give you that because the system that you guys are trying to put in is only provisionally approved. Am I getting that right, Mike?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Right, but
essentially
we
it.
were told by the Board of Health, by the building department, is that we couldn't get a C of O unless we put this in. That was what triggered this. So we were told by the town that we had to put this in.
So what has been brought to light is that this particular technology cannot be used on a property with a system that needs variances from Title V. So another one of the technologies that have more of a track record, I guess, and have a greater level of approval from the state would be required.
General.
Yeah, general
Right.
approval.
So what, and Catherine, it's Stephanie, I don't know if you could tell who's
Right,
talking.
I can see you.
Okay. So my main question is, since we have to wait until November 5th for the Conservation Commission approval, would simply continuing this till November 12th to come back here if necessary, would that hold things, that extra week, is that going to make that big of a difference? And we may not even have to come back on the 12th.
Right. That I can't answer. That would be up to, the construction. But the thing that in our conversation, Stephanie, I'm not sure that there's room for that other technology, that what the design was based on, the limited space that we had to put in this upgraded system.
So Catherine, there's a chance that if you wait and we promulgate a new regulation that has less triggers, you just go on your merry way.
Right, which would be awesome, and particularly to hear that we might someday actually be on
Yeah.
sewer, which we did not ever think was a possibility.
It's not.
But if we want to do the right thing, we're on the coastal embankment. We don't want to also be in a situation where, as Stephanie said, everything is under construction now, and if we're going to be required to do this at some point later on anyway. So that, I mean, I know it's a double-edged sword. We don't know what the regulations are going to be.
Well, their draft regulations are on the Board of Health webpage, and they changed the triggers. So
Small additions and things that don't increase bedrooms or design flow will no longer trigger an upgrade. That said, there may be it's still under discussion. The town is discussing whether to expand sewer, to what level, or if they're going to use IA systems to do it in a sort of municipal project where things are phased and there's mandatory upgrades that are subsidized at a greater level by the town. That's my understanding of what's being discussed right now. And so I think the issue is you were given two options when you applied for your building permit, and that was for a Nitrex or a Nitro. Neither of those systems can be put in when you need any variance from state Title V. We can give variances for local regulations that are more restrictive than Title V for provisional systems. And so that would require you to, if there's any variance from Title V, to have a general IA system, which actually don't take up any more space, I don't believe, than what the Nitro does, because you can, if you put in an Advantex, it's pretty similar size.
Or, fast,
Or a fast system or something. But the Nitrex is a very large system, because, so that's probably why they put the Nitro in, just not knowing that the provisional certification from the state doesn't allow for variances under state law,
Okay.
if that makes sense. I'm sorry if it's complicated.
No, it does. I mean, so if I'm, just to recap where we are, we're going to wait and see what happens next week with the regulations, and it's very possible, as you mentioned in the previous hearing, we would not be required to change the system,
Correct.
and that our Title V is fine, and we don't have to do that work.
Right.
But if we do need to do it, we need to come up with a different system that has more of a track record that we can get a variance on.
Well, that would fall under, if the regulations don't change and you have to put in some type of IA system, you would have to probably downgrade it from the Nitro, the Nitrex, down to a fast or a Advantex system instead of this system that you have set up. And they're more of a reasonable price as well.
Yeah.
And the monitoring costs are less because they're not provisional.
Right.
But they don't
Understood.
reduce nitrogen as much. That's the
Right, I
downside.
understand.
So Stephanie, what would you like to do? Would you like to?
So, yeah, if we could continue to your November 12th meeting, and we'll
Okay.
see where
make a
we...
motion to continue the Alfred Johnson till November 12th.
Second, and can I just ask a question? If you do decide to, if she decides to change it to an Advantex system on the plan, if whatever, then that would still be covered under the same request, or would you have to reapply? I think it would be the same. because
It
it's
probably
a
would be the
plan.
same, but that would be like a question for our health agent that we may have sometime. So, but, all right, so I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 5-0.
All right, thank you very
Okay,
much.
all right.
It's been
Thanks.
very enlightening.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. All right, so now we're going to go to a discussion on,
So I don't know
All
if you
regular.
guys have these with you today, so
Forgot mine.
I just
I
brought-
printed some.
them out, but there's there's a couple adjustments in this, Ken, from the last time we did it that are in blue. Those came from comments from Gary, and I've got one more for you. And then I brought the town council comments too, so I thought,
Hey, before we get started, can I ask a question?
yeah.
When we started this whole process back last summer, fall, 2 years ago, we had numerous meetings, did lots of education, lots of meetings. And then the regulations came into effect in January, and then like people woke up and said, oh, wow, this is not good. The Board of Selectmen were mostly supportive, and now they want changes. So one thing I thought is that we could maybe do a better job of informing people, even before this hearing, to say, like an FAQ or something like that, just a very, some people may not be able to go through this.
Yeah.
And,
I actually had just talked to Gary about, he had asked about having some document that he could hand to people when they are applying or when they're doing actual new construction. So I told him I would work on that and then also an ACO, but I was actually curious about that, and I also contacted the newspaper and just reminded them that we're doing this and if they were going to have anything in writing this paper so that people are
so
informed.
when I talked to Gary, he was saying that we need to get the ACO document up on whatever .gov.
Yeah, I talked to Jennifer about that. It might not be too big of a deal, but it might not be available immediately, in which case we would have a paper document for people to sign or to get emailed to them. That's up to whoever can upload it, but the ACO has been pretty much drafted, so that got sent to me. I can make some changes in the timelines for upgrade that would conform to the regulation changes, and then those would get sent to town council for approval, but they've already written the ACO, so it shouldn't really take very
And
long.
currently, in the last 6 weeks, we've been sort of putting people off and talking about ACOs.
Yeah.
But there is nothing for them
There's
to
no
do
ACOs.
yet.
Yeah, there's no ACO.
There is no ACOs yet, and
I guess I misunderstood, and I just thought they would go to the health department and there would be this document that they would read, fill out, and sign.
it hadn't been drafted,
Yeah.
is really what it
I didn't know
was.
that.
So it recently got drafted, and I think in the draft document, it's not even compliant with the current regulations, because I think it's 10 years in the draft document that I just got sent, which in the regs, I think it only goes up to 2, but I think they were sort of, I don't know, I'm not sure why that was like that, but these were town council's comments. I had a really hard time trying to print these, so they might not be in order, but I can bring them up on my, I'll get Tom on a microphone. I can bring them up on my computer.
Oh, I like it. Baby R, big R, yeah.
Here.
There's someone online with their hand raised. I don't know if you're taking public comments or anything, but Caitlin Bogan.
Immediate.
I just wanted to let you be aware of that.
Thank you. Does anybody want to, we're really not having that type of discussion. Does anybody want, well, you can bring her up and see what her question is, whether it gets answered or not.
Title V allows for short.
Be able to speak now.
I think you are muted. Is it Caitlin?
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, I'm just chiming in because I was under the impression that Winston from All Cape Environmental was on the agenda to get a variance for a transfer of property situation over at Drummer Boy condominium. Do you guys not have that on the agenda?
No.
No,
We do not.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Ag-
All right.
Again, though, next week we'll be reviewing the regulations. Real estate transactions would no longer trigger an upgrade.
Okay, yes. All right, we should be okay with that timeline. It's closing shortly, but if it does happen next week, we should be okay. So I will stay tuned for that.
Could I also tell her?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think also there is a 6-month
Waiver.
Yeah, you get a waiver.
upgrade,
yeah.
and in the motion that I had sent to town council, it would relieve people who were affected by the triggers who have not yet installed.
Okay.
So if that's the motion, I can't guarantee anything's going to happen exactly how it's, I'd hope or whatever, but if that's the intent, if we do change this, we don't want people to have to all come back and
Right.
and change, so.
it's like grace period.
Yeah, if you're within the grace period or you haven't installed yet, you'd be able you'd get relief from installing.
Okay, awesome. Sorry for the interruption, guys.
No, that's
It's all right. We
Okay.
got one more hand up. This will be the last question we have. You can let Larry through.
Larry,
Larry, go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, I'm just following up on what Kate just said, because I'm a trustee at the
Okay.
condominium that was just talked about.
Yes.
So I need to explain in English to my owners what this all means. Sorry, my granddaughter's screaming in the background. I'll go outside. So I need to be able to explain in English to my owners what the hell's going on here. Can somebody give it to me in short, quick form?
So you're looking for a variance or a variance from upgrade from a real estate transaction? Is that right?
That's a good question. We were told that our nitrates are a little higher than they need to be, even though we have an RSF in the system.
I don't know what that is. I'm
You have a
sorry.
nitrogen reducing system already?
Yeah, we have an RSF. We have a recirculating sand filter. It's been in place for a long time. And
so the
apparently it's not taking as much of the nitrates out as we would like.
What
Yeah.
level is it at?
I don't have the numbers. Winston does. That's why he thought he was supposed to talk with Gary this week, and I don't know if he did.
There's Winston online. Well, right now, we do not have any, you're not on our agenda for tonight, so we couldn't make any determination on anything this evening.
But I will say, if this is,
Well, do we have to do anything? I mean, it sounds to me like it's.
We don't know. We don't know
Regs will
what you
change and-
have. You know, that's the thing. We don't have anything to look at. We can't say you're not going to have to do anything until we get some type of information from you or from Winston, which he's online right this moment, but we can't make any determination on anything until we know what's going on.
so,
So but what do I tell my owners? Can they close or can they not
There-
close?
next week,
Larry.
we're going to have a public hearing where the regulations will be voted on to change. If the regulations change, a real estate transaction would no longer be a trigger. If the real estate transaction closes prior to next week, then you are still granted a 6-month six-month waiver to upgrade. During that time, the regulations could change during that time if they haven't. But until the regulations change, the current regulations require an upgrade on transaction within 6 months. Now, we're going to vote on it next week, so if you can wait until next week to make a decision or close, I know that's inconvenient, but that is just the current timeline that we're under. Otherwise, you'd have to apply for some type of variance. I don't believe there's a variance available in the current regulations that would allow for I don't believe there is one that would allow for a real estate transaction to go through without an upgrade to the system, but it could be extended amount of time. But like I said, there's a public hearing next week. The regulations are posted online right now to see what the upgraded regs would be, but a real estate transaction would no longer trigger an upgrade.
When is the closing?
It's supposed to be early November.
We got enough time.
Yeah,
Have
you'll
time.
Know
know.
what's going on.
You'll know.
So I hear Winston is there, so go ahead.
No, I was just going to clarify about that system. It is an IE system. It was just installed in 1996 prior to any denitrification. It can be converted over to denitrification with a small amount of an upgrade.
Okay. All right,
It's,
well,
paperwork was submitted in. Apparently, we didn't make the deadline to get on tonight's agenda. So it is at the Board of Health.
okay. Then it'll be on our next meeting, which will be November 12th. There's a possibility you may not fall under, you may not have to come back to us at all, but we can't make the determination until we have our meeting next week, and the health agent or Gary Locke sees the paperwork to see if it has to come back to us. Okay?
Which
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
uncertainty is the rule.
So since we're not requiring everybody upgrade when they're doing various things, so if someone already has a system and it's not performing at the level that it was supposed to perform at, then what do we do?
Well, that's actually not really an issue, right? So this was installed in 96. That was prior to any
Yeah.
IA regulations, depending on, I don't know for what reason it was installed. Maybe there was some requirement for condo associations within a certain distance from the water, or whatever it is. The 10 milligrams per liter is part of something that's tied to Mass DEP's regulations for nitrogen-sensitive areas if you do not submit a watershed permit. And even under the current regulations from Mass DEP for NSAs, nitrogen-sensitive areas, where a town has not submitted a notice of intent for a watershed permit, they still do not require provisional systems. So the limit is 19 milligrams per liter. Where they're having a problem is they're not coming under the 10 milligrams per liter, which means that they have to upgrade under a real estate transaction, is my understanding without seeing their file. We can't really speak.
But if it was 30, let's pretend.
They would have to go to at least down to an IA, you know.
Under the current regulations.
Well, even the old regulations, they would have to do something, they would probably have to put in a fast system, or, you know, or something, or a
Yeah.
Vantex.
But
Next week,
if these regulations change, then real estate transactions will no longer trigger an upgrade. That just won't be a trigger for upgrade. The triggers will be failures, and they will be
100 feet.
failures and, It would go back to our old regulations, pretty
construction,
much, yes.
But on those instances, they'd still be allowed to install a Title V system. It would just have to be retrofit ready for an enhanced IA with an ACO.
And the construction would be the old definition of new construction, which is additional flow.
Additional design flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's basically what's being
I mean, so if
proposed.
someone has a enhanced system, and do they have to maintain, you know, the annual inspection?
That is
pay
all
the money?
part of having put in an IA system
You can't
or an
get away from
enhanced IA system.
Yeah.
The state requires monitoring,
Okay.
one way or the other. There is no requirement, what they want is to make sure that it's performing at whatever level. So if you have a system that's not performing under 19 milligrams per liter, and that's what it's rated for, then they would want you to send out someone to see if there's something wrong with the system that's unmaintained or whatever.
So those are the kinds of things in an FAQ I think would be very
Yeah.
helpful, because
Yeah.
then people wouldn't be either
Public
abandoning.
hearing will be an opportunity, won't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, but not everybody goes to that.
But my point was,
We
we
need
had
to have
5,
something.
like,
People didn't
meetings and
go.
hearings. We went
we-
above and beyond, and nobody really got it, and it's okay, it was complicated, and I think people kind of woke up.
An FAQ, like a written FAQ, is what
Yeah.
you're talking about,
Yeah.
not an additional meeting, something
No,
written.
no.
No, like a
Okay, sorry, I
frequently asked
misinterpreted.
questions, and we can add to it too, and as
Okay.
things come in with Gary, and I'll just be in contact with him.
It can just be a
about that.
moving document, but I think that it
Yeah.
might help people who either,
Can't make it,
or want to come and, you
Well,
know,
like
have a hard time.
like that gentleman tonight, you know, just understanding what's coming forward, what is happening at the time. So if he has a question, doesn't have to come here, he can look on the sheet and
No,
get
I'm
his answer
understanding now. I
himself.
thought she was suggesting another meeting, but
No.
if it's a written document, I think that makes sense.
All right, so what,
This guy works very early in the
yes,
morning.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they don't have to wait for us.
3:47 a.m.
Yeah, he was up. Maybe he was in a different time zone. Who
Oh,
knows?
yeah, that's true.
I don't.
All right, so who would like to discuss this?
Okay, so, I guess, like Katie wasn't at the last meeting or the select board meeting, so I just want to give her a chance to raise any concerns that she might have, and we can go over those, and then also what Gary had given me, which is in blue on that, and that what I discussed with Gary, and that's what I ended up submitting for town council review, because I didn't want to get it back and not have that reviewed also, so.
And then these additional comments.
Those are town council's comments, so I guess we'll discuss working those in, and then I can, if we approve with town council, there's a couple questions he has that we have to answer. Part of them are to do with the old regulations, but we can just go through them one by one. They're not in the right order, by the way, 'cause I
Yeah, I'm looking at that, I'm trying to
It's
figure
kind
out
of hard to
which one.
figure
you're
out where
looking
they
at.
are,
So what I'll do is I'll just say, I'll give the,
the page.
yeah, because without being able to look at it on the screen, I couldn't print it together. It was like, I just couldn't figure out how to do it. So 408 is the first one, 408 AM, that would be the first one. Why don't we go through these first? It's,
Some of them are tiny.
408. There we go.
Replace R with capital R.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think we can skip those.
yeah, we can skip all those. So,
Immediate is ambiguous as used here.
so here it is, 418. See, why are they all scrambled like that? I don't know. I just did my best to print them.
Bottom of
418.
page 2.
418, that just says, as you may know, pursuant to Chapter 1131, the Board of Health may make regulations more stringent than Title V, but must cite the local conditions that require a more stringent regulation at the hearing. That's in regard to the regulations for retrofit ready being more restrictive than Title V. And so we need to cite the reason at the public hearing that we're in a nitrogen-sensitive area under a notice of intent for a watershed permit, and so we are passing more restrictive regulations than Title V, if we're considering them. So that's that one.
Exactly the same as,
Did I print double of the same thing?
yeah, okay, thank you.
I apologize. I couldn't, I was trying to run out of the house while I printed these, but I want to, so I'll just read the ones that are in, the important ones, not the edits. So on the bottom of the purpose, 600 in the regs. On the bottom, it says, these interim regulations may be amended as needed or upon approval of the town's TWMP or watershed permit. Town council suggested deleting that.
Are we looking at the blue now?
No.
Oh, it's page 5, I think,
Oh, okay.
Page 5.
purpose.
Bottom of the paragraph, under purpose.
Got it.
So where it says these regulations may be amended as needed or upon approval.
Last sentence.
Yeah, that last sentence,
Okay, thank you.
town council suggested deleting that. And he said, I suggest deleting this as these regulations can be amended by the Board of Health after notice of a hearing at any time. Additionally, this gives the impression that these regulations are a bridge to something else.
Okay.
If that something else does not materialize, I assume the Board of Health wants the regulations to continue. So if you guys are in agreement, I can just strike that through?
Sure.
Yeah?
I am not town council.
Sure.
so-
Okay.
Yep.
So I'll just do that on
I mean,
here.
it's implied, we
It's
always have
implied,
the
yeah.
power
Yeah.
to change
We always
it
have the
Yeah.
power to change it.
with hearing and notice.
How to strike through, I don't know. All right, well, I'll just check it off. Okay, the next one is,
Jeez, look at this.
I don't know if I would even look at those.
Okay.
I did my best to print them, but they somehow got all scrambled up when I hit print, like they didn't,
No, I'm looking at the one that says DEP guidance in nitrogen-sensitive areas is 10
oh, yeah, okay,
mgs
we'll
with a
get to
goal of
that.
5. Yikes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, the cesspool upgrade.
Piltosh.
Yeah, cesspool upgrade on page 9.
Okay.
Says unless a cesspool failure results from a triggering event described in this section, in which case the upgrade shall be completed within the shorter of 6 months from property transfer or 2 years from building permit issuance. Now, that was already in our regulations. There was in the current regulations right now, it's contradictory. It doesn't specify which one's which with
I
cesspool
think we meant 2
upgrades.
years, didn't we?
Yeah, well, but if it's a failure, it needs to be,
Done right away.
yeah, but then it says, so he wrote, Title V allows for a shorter upgrade period of the system if the system is found to pose an imminent threat, but that's addressed in the next sentence. Systems posing an imminent threat to public health shall be repaired or replaced immediately. Okay, but then, I don't think he saw that.
Okay.
But further down the line, under failed and abandoned systems, he wrote, immediate is ambiguous. This is where we have to resolve right now. Immediate is ambiguous. As used here, immediate means now, but in reality, that cannot be achieved in this context. I suggest using a time certain, for example, within 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I would say 30 days,
You're not going to get anything in the ground in 30 days.
Yeah.
No, I know, but repair, this is repair.
Is this in B or C?
Right now, we have immediately in here. This is in both. So it says it here, under cesspool upgrade, it says systems posing an imminent threat to public health shall be
Oh,
repaired or
immediately,
replaced
okay.
immediately. It says it again under failed and abandoned systems, below that. And that's
Oh, yeah,
what he's
immediately.
referencing,
Okay.
but it applies to both, I think. Right now, it's immediately, that's like a bar that you can't meet. But if 30 days can't be met, then they can come before the Board of Health.
Okay, I can
So we
suggest you
maybe
give them
60
30
days.
days, and if they can't get it done, they can come before us, give us a reason why, and ask for a variance.
Right, because
get
they
up
can go to the health
30.
department and say, hey, we want to repair our system.
Yeah,
A
well,
repair can happen quickly sometimes if it's just a matter of,
yeah, they can go before the health agent. If it's something more involved, they'll have to come before us.
yeah, I mean, immediately, I get that, you can't do anything immediately, but if we make it 30 days.
I think, can we have both in there? Meaning, it's more of an encouragement to act
Immediately?
imminently,
Yeah.
immediately,
Yeah,
and to have that language and have a numeric
Up to
in there
30
as
days.
well.
Immediately up to 30
Up to
days.
30 days, and if, like you were saying, if it's more than 30 days, then they need to come before us and,
I mean, ironically, we only meet once a month, so
I know,
if they miss
it's
the
not
first one, then
possible.
they have to go at least 30, if not more.
well, could they go?
Well, the health agent
before-
would probably
Yeah.
have
the
the
health
authority
agent can have authority over threats
to
of
give,
imminent-
give a
Yeah,
little
that's already-
small, it's
that's
already in there
granted
somewhere, so.
to the health agent from the Board of Health that they
I
can
mean, you
act
could
on
say
that.
immediately up to 30 days. I don't know that it really makes a big difference.
I
because-
think
I would-
within 30 days is fine.
I think just leaving it 30 days, because I don't know if the,
Within 30 days, that means it
I
can
mean, I
happen
hear what you're saying.
before then as well,
Within 30 days, okay.
well, you got
My-
lawyers speak, when you say immediately up to 30 days, so it's just, if you just give them the round number, they know
Yeah,
they have
up
to
to
do
30
it up
days.
to 30 days.
Within
My
30
question is, how are we defining, how will people, imminent threat to public health, what does that mean?
The health department just makes that determination. The
Okay,
health
they don't
agent would
have
make
to
that
stipulate that.
determination.
Okay.
Yeah, so like basically, if there's raw septage coming out of the ground anywhere,
Yes.
that's an imminent threat. If there's
Public.
coliform bacteria contamination in a well because of a septic system or to
That's
a
imminent
water
threat. Okay.
abatement.
So that's
that'll be-
already taken care of?
We don't deal
have to
with
worry
that.
about that?
No,
Yeah.
the- yeah.
And so that all gets handled internally by the health agent. You have 30 days to repair it, blah, 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 blah. If they need additional time, then they would come to the Board of Health to
Yeah.
request that
Do
additional.
we need to say within 30 days of notification or anything, or can we just say?
No, within 30 days,
Within-
period.
within
Because you want people to
quickly.
understand that they only have 30 days from the,
The issue?
whatever, yeah,
Okay.
the issue arising, I
Okay.
think. You
Okay.
know, to repair it. I mean, we're talking about actual systems that are imminent threat.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
So
Yeah, because
within,
as soon as we find out, that the Board of Health finds out, they get the 30 days, they know something's,
Yeah, wrong.
Can we
okay,
talk about
so,
C on page 10?
C on page 10. Yes.
So I,
Yeah, just gave that to you. I don't know if you saw that before when.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Okay.
I think
Town
it's-
council got back to us.
but the 200 feet of a coastal bank and 100 feet of a salt marsh, I don't really understand the difference.
Okay, so a coastal bank is defined as like a dune or a coastal bank, but you can be near a salt marsh without being next to a coastal bank.
Yeah.
And there's a difference because coastal banks suffer erosion, and that's really the issue here is erosion or flood, right? Where your abandoned system could become exposed. So that's why even if you're 200 feet from a coastal bank, you shouldn't be able to just abandon a system in the ground because at some point, that 200 feet is probably going to be zero.
Yeah.
You know? And so right now, if we, it was something that came up when I was talking to Jennifer and Gary, and it was really about whether there was a,
We want them to take care of it.
we want them to take care of it, and it should just be in the regulations that you can't, if they don't need any variances, they would be able to just abandon the system, and they wouldn't come before the board. So we want it in regulation that, like, you can't abandon a system when you're removing it or upgrading it or anything like that. You have to remove those components, including the leach fields, because we don't want them in the on the beach.
Yeah,
you
that
know?
makes a lot of sense. That's a great
And then with the salt marsh, I only included that because of flooding can actually move stuff too if you're within the salt marsh. It's not really a coastal bank necessarily.
Yeah.
But you can be both. I mean,
Right, but it would go by whatever you were, if you're 200 feet with a coastal bank, then it would be all the way at 200 feet, you'd have to remove stuff. But, so it would always defer to the
larger number.
larger number. That's how I wrote it, anyway. So that's why that's in there. If you guys are in agreement with that, we can keep that in there. I think that's what she
That's
does.
fine.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And let me just write, does somebody have a pen I could borrow?
Yeah.
I like ran from work straight to you.
Oh, actually, look, I can get my old pen back.
I'm just going to write down so I
Get
can
your
make
big
these
pen.
edit within 30 days for convenient. Okay.
So, Mike, you mentioned, in this example, 200 feet might someday be, 0 feet.
Right.
It will be 0
Yeah.
feet at some point. And I just think that's a really important just reality to kind of globally keep in mind in all of our committee discussions and board discussions in general.
I mean, a bunch of my markers are out. You can't even see them. They're in the marsh.
Yeah.
My
I
land
mean,
markers.
There could be rationale for saying that no systems can be abandoned in the ground. I mean, I had a Title V put in not that long ago, and I didn't want the components left in the ground. But I also feel like if you're well within the inland and it's a concrete tank that you're filling, it's like whatever. But I think really we should be focusing on.
So like
on
a
the
cesspool,
erosion.
they fill it up or they
Well, it's
take
up to, it costs money to remove things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so if people want to keep a concrete tank buried in their ground, I don't have that big of a problem with it. But like if it's up on a coastal bank, then
Right,
it
then
becomes
soon it'll be on
everybody's
public
problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Even if you fill it with sand.
But it might be 50 years.
Yeah. So that, I
7
think this is,
generations.
yeah,
Leave it to them.
yeah. So I think this is a good way of dealing with that. It's just, 200 feet, that's pretty far back from the coastal bank. And,
Yeah, I
That's
think
good.
it's a good addition. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
I mean, we could go farther. We could go crazy, but I don't
yeah,
think we
I
should.
don't think we need
Yeah.
to.
Well, the whole thing is, once it gets down to 150, that other 50 feet moves back. So the other
Exactly.
200 feet keeps
Yeah,
moving back.
it keeps moving. It's always 200 feet
Eventually,
from where
like I
it
tell
is.
my kids, in a million years, I'm gonna have oceanfront property.
Well,
I'm
and
gonna
that thing
enjoy it,
too,
you
it's
know.
like 200 feet, I mean, that's going to take the life of a septic system to get to that point. So the next people are going to have to be closer and they'll have to remove their systems when they abandon stuff instead of abandoning them. Okay, so I think that was it for there. And then it goes down to, the 10 milligram thing
Where's that?
that we were talking about.
Yeah, I think that came up.
You brought it up.
10 to
state,
5, goal of 5.
yeah, my understanding is that DEP guidance in nitrogen sensitive areas is 10 milligrams with a goal of 5 milligrams per liter. So what DEP.
Page 10.
That applies to towns that are not submitting for a watershed permit and have not submitted a notice of intent. So if you're not doing anything, if the town's not pursuing a nitrogen reduction strategy, and what you're going to have to do is comply with Title V regulations, which is the nitrogen sensitive area, Title V regs, then their guidance is 10, but they have language in there that says if no system under 10 is
Available.
approved for general use, then you must install a system at 19 milligrams per liter or less. So they're just giving you the goal. They know, the state knows, everyone knows that if we put everyone on a system at 19 milligrams per liter, which is a general approved IA system, we would not meet our nitrogen thresholds. And that's been stated by everyone from Andrew Gottlieb to the state themselves, that they know that 19 milligrams per liter is only a 7 milligram per liter reduction from a regular Title V. And in order to meet the thresholds in most watersheds, Wellfleet particularly, because we have high reductions, the numbers don't add up, right? So in order to do that, that's why their goal may be 5 milligrams per liter.
Okay.
And maybe we will get septic systems that achieve that at some point as a certified number, but right now that's just not, there isn't anything that's certified for general use that's anywhere close to that. And so when we have the 13 milligrams per liter under the enhanced, innovative, and alternative technologies, that actually allows for the nitro and nitrex, because the problem with the current regs is that they are limited at 10 milligrams per liter, and nitro is certified at 11 milligrams per liter. So it doesn't actually qualify under the regulation. So certain engineers are hesitant to design those systems because they don't actually qualify under our current regulations. So there's really only one system that currently qualifies under the current Board of Health regulations, even though the department, the health department is saying we'll accept both of them. There's only one that's fully compliant with our regulations at under 10 milligrams per liter currently. So that's why raising it to 13 just gives you that breathing room. Also, if another system falls under that or is approved for provisional or general use at 13, it could be used. So there's just a little bit more competition in the field and what could be used if we do end up going that route to install a lot of these things.
I have a question about the 100 feet between a drinking water supply and the,
Where's that?
right here, 607.
Oh, yeah, that's the original regulation.
Oh, it is? Okay.
That's, if it's not in red, that was the regulation prior. What page is that?
Page 10, 607.
Page 10,
I was like, how
607.
many houses in Wellfleet don't have 100 feet?
That's why you get a variance.
That's why I get variance.
Yeah, this
No,
has been in the
but-
system since 2017, the 100 feet of
I
separation.
guess I didn't really.
So if you can't meet that, that was put in 2017. If you can't meet that 100-foot separation, then you're required to put in nitrogen reduction system.
That's why when people come before us, that's why you get the Avantags.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of those are put in because of that
Yeah.
reason. And so,
Yeah,
one of
no,
the
no
things
matter
is-
what, as we go along with this, if we change the regulations, there will be systems that go into the ground that will be enhanced because the water's too high in nitrates, so they're going to have to put some type of alternative system into the ground no matter what. So not everybody can just put a Title V into the ground.
Right, yeah.
I'll let you
there's-
guys know that.
There's still IAs required as there was in the 2017. One of the things that I did in here that I think is just important to note is where it says nitrogen reducing standard. So those IA systems that have to go into the ground because they're triggered for either the drinking water separation if they're trying to put a septic system in, or they're too close to the marsh or wetland, that this would now require any required nitrogen-reducing technology shall be designed to achieve an effluent total nitrogen concentration of 13 milligrams or under, certified by Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. Where no Mass DEP general use technology is certified to achieve the 13, then a Mass DEP-approved general use nitrogen-reducing technology may be installed. That's basically the language from Mass DEP.
So that's the 19.
That's the 19, but under here, I wanted people to understand that the town's not going to subsidize systems that are 19 milligrams per liter. And so if you choose to put in a provisional system, then you may be eligible for financial assistance from the town.
That should be in our FAQs.
Yes.
That point.
Because
right there.
what we want people to do is install these systems that give them a better performance.
Correct.
I'm uncomfortable mandating I just think, at this point, and that's why having the ACO being tied to the TWMP, that'll be up to the town and the Target Watershed Management Plan, whether those have to be provisional systems, or if those achieve general use before that happens, that may happen.
But I think most people would choose to
Right.
have a better performing system, and if we, the town, can offer a subsidy for the better performing system,
Yeah,
most people are going to choose that because they want to do what's right for the environment
right.
and get a little financial assistance.
Yeah, and I think we'll have a lot more, I think that in the coming year, there'll be a lot more clarity on what we need to do and how the town's planning on doing it. I don't think we have that.
So do you mean assistance like the 12,500
Right now, that's
currently?
what it is,
But
but
there's proposal
that's.
to increase it.
Yeah, and as long as it's optional, that's a reasonable amount of money.
Right.
But if it's required and these systems are coming at 80 or 90 grand, then that's not really a reasonable amount of money to subsidize the systems.
So I think
In terms of.
maybe you say, this is what a Title V normally does, how much nitrogen is in it, and this
Mm-hmm.
is what the best does, and this is what is in between. So people understand the numbers, because I think that
Right.
was part of some of the confusion.
Yeah,
Like, why do we have to do this? What up?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends on how much the town decides to, and decisions are coming pretty soon. I think these decisions will be made fairly soon, within this year, about, how much they're planning on relying on septic systems to meet the nitrogen reduction, and how much they're going to rely on sewering. And when that question's answered, then
Yeah.
they're going to have to figure out how to implement that,
Yep.
And so those are all pending issues. So I think those were the actual only real substantive comments from town council on the regs, was to delete the interim regulation section, and, which we agreed to, yeah?
Anytime you put in a Title V in the approved or proposed sewer district, you just have to make sure that there's space, a retrofit ready, next to the Title V in case it's needed.
Oh, yeah, so that,
So
yeah,
it
so
says
this is for that, because you weren't
located
here
within the
yet.
boundaries.
Yeah, so that's also, so basically, where, for properties
Page 11,
located
yeah.
within the boundaries of the approved or proposed sewer district formally accepted by the vote, the nitrogen reducing technology shall not be required at the time of a new installation or upgrade. All such systems shall be retrofit ready in accordance with the design standards set forth in 601, which would mean that they would have to, exactly, they would have to install a Title V system if they were triggered in this approved or proposed sewer district, but they would have to have it retrofit ready. And that way, if the town rejects the sewering or the sewering's not moving forward, that those people who would normally be, because they're in a environmentally sensitive area, they're too close to a wetland or whatever, the 100 feet separation. Actually,
Is that implied in here?
I'm just thinking here that it should probably say,
If the property is subsequently removed from the proposed sewer district, the system shall be upgraded to include the nitrogen-reducing technology within 2 years of such removal, or in accordance with the coordinated phased upgrade schedule.
yeah. I'm just noticing one issue with what no, I think that makes sense. I think that's, yeah.
So if you have a cesspool and you need a Title V, and you're in the map, ding.
Yeah,
That's really,
That's because it's a proposed sewer district.
Right.
So we're not saying you have to upgrade, but these are systems that would normally be required for upgrade to an IA system.
Right, but I'm just
because
thinking
they're
that when we're explaining it to people, we might want to say,
Yeah.
everybody, because when we did the regs,
Yeah,
there was some feeling that everybody in the town of Wellfleet needed to have an enhanced system, every single household.
yeah.
And
Well,
that was sort of
was-
a miss.
Well, yeah, I mean, that really depends on the final sewer layout, because the way that the original plan came to the select, before it came to the select board, the plan did require pretty much, if you went with the smallest sewer footprint that was available, I mean, that was allowed by DEP in order to meet our goals, because there's a certain amount of sewering that the town had to do just to make the numbers work. It still required most of the
About 2,000
systems in the
systems.
watershed, but then also we did systems outside of the watershed too. So it was, what the Board of Health did was all systems in town.
No, but I think that people misunderstood that if you had a Title V and it was
Mm-hmm.
humming along great, and you weren't doing any of the triggers, you don't have to do anything, but there were people who thought that they had to, every single person, regardless of whether there was a trigger or not, had to upgrade, and that was kind
Yeah.
of really scary.
Well, I think though, if the town had pursued that strategy and just tried to do it with triggers, eventually we would have wound up 10 years down the line, and we would have had to mandate upgrades to almost every property in Wellfleet, because there's really no way around it if you're relying so heavily on the EIA systems that you don't have to have, basically, it's like,
sewering.
are the triggers going to get you there?
But I just
Because
talked to
the
someone who like
numbers-
wasn't selling,
Yeah.
they weren't doing any construction, and they were like, I'm gonna have to, and I'm like, no, you're not. So I
Yeah.
think there was pressure there.
Yeah.
They didn't understand, so I think that this is important.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that the thing is that, like, there's still too many unknowns to really say for sure whether people are going to have to upgrade to these systems to meet our thresholds, because we don't know the level of sewering.
So maybe that's another thing you explained, that we are changing sort of the approach. This is how I look at it, with a few caveats, but we're going to put off doing some of this enhanced stuff. Because when we get to the actual septic, sewer district, it will catch up, because it's a much more efficient at reducing nitrogen. So for the
Less
next.
properties need to be upgraded if
Yeah,
you're on
but
sewer.
so 5, 10, 15 years, whatever, it's going to hum along with some enhanced, but not that many. But then we'll catch up once we have a whole system in the town. So that's the way I look at it, and I think maybe that's the way to, present it, is that,
I think we got to be clear that we don't know what exactly the sewering is going to look like right now, because that's still being determined, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think shortly the town
We'll have a plan.
will be given, I don't think we're that far out from getting the final cost estimates and
Okay, 'cause I know
and the
that
whole
we've been
sewer
waiting to
layout.
but,
hear.
someone might say, well, why are you doing all this? And part of it is the triggers, but also because the sewer system is more efficient and will get us to our numbers.
Right.
And in the meantime, we can be a little more relaxed, and some of the numbers, they're not hopefully going to get worse, but
Right, but in the meantime, any new Title V systems that go in the ground
be retrofit,
are
yeah.
retrofit ready, but they also have an ACO attached to them, so they are an enforceable, there's
Yeah.
an enforceable action that is attached to a new system.
but
so that-
they don't have to do the $80,000 thing.
Right. Yeah, but they do have to submit a designed plan so that it shows that the systems can be retrofitted in there.
Okay, that's that.
And then if anybody has any other questions, we can address them now.
Anybody else got anything?
She's crazy.
I'm good.
In a good way.
Does anybody else have any questions, they want answered tonight?
I make a motion to,
Ask for a motion to adjourn?
Yeah,
Yes,
so
yes,
I
please.
will incorporate the town council comments that we went over tonight, and I will put everything in the strike-through document for the actual regulations. They'll get updated with town council's comments. Jennifer will update those on the website
Okay,
as soon
cool.
as I finish that, so.
So
Probably
we have
do it
a
tonight.
motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The only thing Jennifer asked said, because, just to break this stuff down for her, because, sorry? We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.
It is.
Yes, I know we gotta put this stuff away.